All right. You're a little rascal. You want to learn how to win at chess really fast and without having to study much. That's not how it's done. However, you have definitely come to the right video where I'm going to show you exactly how to win in just 6 simple moves. But listen, it's not just going to be a quick checkmate where you win fast if your opponent falls for it, and if not, oh well. I'm actually going to teach you how to win quickly no matter what your opponent does. This video is absolutely worth it. Pay attention. You're going to start by playing e4, the most logical move in chess. And now the most common response is e5, the double king's pawn. As I always tell you, this is the most played opening in chess. So how are we going to continue now? Well, with knight to f3, and then they'll usually reply with knight to c6. You can't tell me you haven't played this a million times. If you haven't played this a million times, it's because you haven't played a million games, right? So here, we're going to continue with the Scotch opening, d4. What are we aiming for with the Scotch opening? Well, it's very simple. We're threatening to capture this pawn. Notice that we're attacking it with 2 pieces and it's only defended by 1. That is, here, the only really good move for black pieces, not nagrias, black, is to take this pawn. It's the only good one, all right? Otherwise, we would capture. And here, the natural move in the Scotch opening would be to capture this pawn. But as you know, we don't really like normal moves. We prefer unusual moves so our opponent falls for them and we can win in just a few moves. Here, the first move, and not the only one, that I'm going to show you to win quickly is this knight jump here, knight to g5. It's a rather peculiar move, that's true. And it doesn't threaten anything because a lone knight can't really do anything at all. Notice that everything it attacks is defended. This by the rook, this by the king. Come in here, nothing at all. In other words, it's a move that seems totally useless, and that's why your opponent is going to think, this guy is really bad. He's wasting a move here with the knight. He's moved the knight once, twice, I'll chase it away, and he'll have to move it a third time. So here, when they chase your knight away, we have at our disposal the brutal move, knight takes on f7. Notice that this knight is going in completely alone, right? And you might say, wait, chess teacher, if it's going alone, why does this attack work? Well, first, because here we're attacking both the queen and the rook at the same time. That is, the only move black can make is to capture the knight. Otherwise, they'd lose one of these 2 pieces. And once they capture this knight, notice that what we've done is lure the king to the center of the board. And now we can attack him however we want. For example, with the bishop, check. Notice that this king, says, well, sure, the bishop is attacking me, but I can go back home and I have an extra knight. However, it's already too late because look at the attack that's coming his way. Check now with the queen. It can't be blocked by either the bishop or the knight because neither of them can get between the king and the queen. He also can't play this pawn move because we would simply capture and the threat would still be completely active. However, they can still try to escape with the king, although it's already too late. Why? Because we can very easily come in with the queen. Check. Notice that what we're doing is making it so the king can't go anywhere, and now we just need to keep up the attack. Look, if the king comes over here, how can we continue? Well, by bringing in this bishop right here. Look, these 2 bishops, like 2 swords, cross in the middle of the board and make it so the king can't escape. He has to come over here. Notice that we bring in the queen. Check. If the king comes this way, that's checkmate. And if the king tries to escape over here, that's also checkmate. What we've done with this move is sacrifice the knight to lure the king toward the center with our pieces and deliver checkmate. A very simple way to beat your opponents at the start of the game. But be careful, this is just the beginning. If you liked this, what comes next is gonna blow you away. So remember, we have to start with e4, the double king's pawn, knight to f3, and when they play knight to c6, we're gonna play d4. When they capture, what are we looking at? This awesome trap with the knight over here. This would be the most basic way to win. But there's an even stronger way, which is by playing the Scotch Gambit with bishop to c4. I have a super interesting video on this channel where I go really in depth about this move, but here I'm going to show you how to win super fast. Why do we play bishop to c4, giving up this pawn? Well, look, like with any gambit, we're giving up a pawn in exchange for a much stronger attack. And pay attention to this. We're attacking this spot right here. For now, you haven't. We're not doing anything yet. Notice that all the traps I'm showing you now, our whole way of attacking the opponent is by targeting this spot here. Before with the knight, now with the bishop, okay? Notice that the opponent, very cleverly, since they have an extra pawn and it's being attacked by two pieces, thought, well, my opponent didn't recapture it, but instead developed a piece, so I'll develop another piece too, and at the same time defend this pawn. That's why bishop to c5 is the most commonly played move here. In fact, knight to f6 is also very commonly played. But notice that since this pawn isn't here, a push like this could really bother the knight. That's why it's much more common to first play bishop to c5, maybe so you can later play d6 without trapping the bishop, and then, yes, support this square with the knight. And after bishop to c5, we're gonna pull a really strong move out of our hat, which is c3. This is where our opponent starts rubbing their hands together and says, all right, it's true that I have an extra pawn. And now with this move, you're letting me take here, and now for sure I'll have an extra pawn for the whole game because I've captured two, and when you recapture, you'll only have recaptured one, right? But the idea behind playing c3 isn't to trade pawns or anything like that. We don't care about the material. Right now, all we want is the attack, and what we want is to open up the queen's file. Look, something very important. If your opponent doesn't capture, it's no big deal. We'll capture ourselves and just look at what a spectacular center we have. Same pieces, same pawns, and we have a center that's 1,000 times better than our opponent's. That's why they capture here, right? And so here, we're already winning. Really, really winning. And let me tell you something, okay? And I'm not joking just to make you believe it. With this trap right here, all right? What I'm showing you right now is the one I've won the most rapid games with in my life, in official tournaments, not online tournaments, official tournaments. So it works really well, okay? What are we gonna do? Capture this pawn here with the bishop. We directly sacrifice this bishop. An absolutely spectacular move. Remember how earlier we sacrificed the knight? Now it's the bishop, but for the same purpose, to lure the king away, all right? Look at how important this square is. And now we bring in the queen, check, and we're gonna take this bishop here, okay? But notice that we're not gonna take it right away. If the king moves back or comes over here, notice that he ends up on the same diagonal as the bishop. In that case, we would capture right away because we'd give check, then recover this pawn, and we'd be in a much better position. However, after giving this check, the most common move is for the king to come here. And here, we're not going to capture yet. Instead, we'll first give this check for good measure. If he comes here, it would be the same situation. We'd gain a tempo by capturing with check. Or if they play the most logical move, which is g6, what they're actually doing is weakening this diagonal here. Now, by capturing this bishop, we've simply opened up this diagonal for the rook. Notice that no matter how much they capture this pawn here, we'll be way ahead thanks to our bishop controlling the longest diagonal on the board. You might say, hey, but they're not forced to capture. They have plenty of other options, right? For example, queen to e7, wanting to trade queens and attacking here, seems like a much more logical move. However, what we'll do is recapture this pawn with the queen. Notice that we're even in material. In other words, our gambit has worked to recover the material. And not only that, we're in a much better position. And you might say, hey, chess teacher, but here you're leaving this pawn, and on top of that, it's giving a check to your king. So what should I do? This move seems like a good one, right? Yes, but pay attention to the star move in this position, which is king to d1. A spectacular move. First, they can't check you with anything because we've got everything covered, even if it seems hard to believe. And second, we're opening up this powerful file to place our rook, pin the queen, and win it because she can't move since the king is right behind her. So they should move this queen. The only square where they can give check is this one here. Even though it looks good, it's pointless because we just block with the bishop. And notice that now we're threatening to come over here again. We're also threatening the rook. There are multiple threats. It's a completely impossible position to win with the black pieces, I'm telling you, and very easy to win with the white pieces. They should block this threat, but notice that it's almost impossible to do so, if not completely impossible. If they block with the knight, we capture. If they block with the knight, we capture since we have the other knight. And if they block over here, it's the same thing. In other words, they're going to lose the game. Please, everyone pay attention, because now comes the best part of the video, without a doubt. If anyone leaves now, they're gonna miss the best part and won't be able to sleep tonight. Notice why this is gonna be the best one. Knight to f3, knight to c6, we're gonna play d4. Up to here, everything's the same. And when we play pawn takes pawn, we'll continue with the attack from the Scotch Gambit, targeting this spot right here, okay? Notice that I mentioned earlier about knight to f6, which is also a very common move, and I told you, if you were paying attention, that the move e5 was a very powerful move. But here, I'm going to show you a move that's even stronger, and you're going to love it. Notice that here we have the classic move knight to g5, targeting this spot right here. And you might say, chess teacher, this is the fried liver attack. It's already been punished plenty by black. You've even shown us on your channel how to punish this attack. But notice that in this position, there's a key variation that's going to help you beat all your opponents. By the way, you're probably watching this video comfortably in your bed or on your couch, right? Which is great, you don't have to do anything, but I've put in a ton of work, so you can watch this for free and in this quality. So how about giving me a nice like? It doesn't cost you anything, man, or you could leave a comment, whatever you want. Thank you so much, my friend. By the way, here, how can they stop this attack right here? Well, they only have one move, and you'll agree with me that the only one is to play d5. You might say, it's simple. I capture it with the pawn, and when they take it with the knight, I captured this pawn with my knight, right? Well, now, my friend, here you would lose the game. You aren't paying attention. Here you lose the game. It's true that you're attacking the queen and the rook, and if they capture here, you could bring in your queen, attack here. Careful, you're getting ahead of yourself. If you take here, they could play queen to e7 and in between check, and on the next move take your knight. And you, as white, would lose the game. That's why you have to be careful here. Let me show you again so you understand. When you play d5 and make these exchanges, we shouldn't capture here, but instead we have this secret move, castling. What an incredible move, right? So pay attention to this. Here, what are we threatening? Rook to e1, bring the rook in. This king will be in big trouble. If I ask you here what move you would play to develop your pieces, avoid this attack, and be able to castle quickly, most likely all of you would tell me bishop to e7. And that's a very logical move. Why? Because I want to castle quickly before you attack me. Oh, or before you defend yourself, sorry. And now we can play knight takes because we're castled. And look at this, we attack the queen, we attack the rook, so they have to capture with the king. There are no more in-between checks because the king is castled. And now, yes, check with the queen. And on the next move, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take this knight here. Notice that it would be a disaster to bring the king to the center of the board since we have the rook. So now, logically, they should move back. If they move back, for example, here, we'd be coming in with check, and on the next move, checkmate. So there's a move that seems to cover everything, which is bishop to f6. But we don't really care too much, because we're simply going to capture this knight with check. They can block with the bishop, but it doesn't matter because we trade. The king will be in the center, and we bring in the rook thanks to having castled. Notice the difference between castling and not castling, right? A short castle, okay? King Henry IV. We're attacking the king. Now, where does he have to go? Well, he has to move back, my friends. And all we have to do is switch sides. At this point, we've already done everything. We go on to guide, maybe check along the diagonal, and when he moves, for example, we come in here attacking the knight, the king's exposed, our king is super safe, and the position of the black pieces is falling apart. Super, 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 super important if you want to play this line. Super important. Knight to f3, knight to c6, d4, pawn takes, and bishop to c4, right? If they play knight to f6, we've seen all the options, right? We've already looked at it first with bishop to c5, and now we're looking at it with knight to f6. You've got everything really well reviewed in the video. So this is a really valuable video in case you want to save it. But now, super important. When we're carrying out this really strong attack here, there might be a move we overlook, and if we don't know how to punish it, it can make you nervous, but it's actually easy to punish. Don't worry, I'll explain it to you. It's super simple, so you'll understand. What happens if they play knight to e5 against us? Instead of playing d5, where we saw that we would trade pieces and castle, what happens if they play knight to e5? They attack our bishop and at the same time defend this square. A lot of you would say, or would be about to say here, damn it, Well, I'm not going to say any bad words here because we're on YouTube and I want to monetize the video. That's just how it is, right? So here, if they attack our bishop and defend over here, all we have to do is pull the bishop back a little bit, important, while keeping this diagonal open. See, nothing at all happens here. But of course, now you might say, it's black's turn. We're attacking a defended spot. And if they attack this knight, we can't do anything anymore, right? Because now, if it were our move, everything would be really easy. For example, I capture here, threaten this knight, and when it moves, I capture here. Even stronger, I threaten with f4, and when this knight moves, I capture here. The difference is that it's black's turn, and they can kick out this knight. And if you haven't seen this part of the video, you're going to say, everything's gone down the drain, huh? The whole attack is ruined. But don't worry, because here there's the move f4, which is a really strong move. You attack my knight, I attack yours. And notice that nothing happens here. A lot of you might say, oh, well, I can just move this knight away. If they move the knight away, we simply win the game. So the only option they have left is to capture this knight and accept the exchange. And when we accept the exchange, Black might say, well, it's not that big of a deal. We've traded knights, and now I can move this knight away and even win another pawn. Absolutely nothing happens, because now we have the brutal move, queen takes d4, attacking this knight. And here there are two possible moves. If your opponent gets too clever because they're a real pro, right? He thinks he's the best in his house and wants to make a spectacular move, or maybe he just wants to play the normal move. If he gets too clever and is used to doing tactical exercises, he'll see that this move looks really good. It attacks the rook and can't be captured because it's pinned by this rook over here. So, he might go for this move. However, all we have to do is play the queen here, attacking the knight and threatening checkmate. So when they defend against the checkmate, we capture the white. It's a big mistake to try to get too clever here. It's very easy to punish, all right? We just bring the queen in and win a piece. And if they don't notice, we deliver checkmate. And the logical move is to bring the knight here. Why? Because it's defended by the bishop and can no longer be captured. And also, they're attacking this bishop here. This is the most logical move. However, we don't care because we simply castle short, castle kingside, and now we're attacking this point with two pieces super, super strongly. The only move to save themselves here, and pretty much the only option, is to capture this bishop, right? And then we'll capture with the pawn, and just look at the huge difference in position we have now. The king is already castled, the queen is in the center, in a spot that can't be attacked. Our rooks are both attacking vulnerable points, because right now, this point is only defended by one and attacked by two. Meanwhile, the most important thing is that our opponent has all their pieces on the back rank. An overwhelmingly winning position for the white pieces. Oh, by the way, I'm sure you really enjoyed this video, and I have, well, it's not a surprise, but I'm going to give you a scoop. I bought myself a new chessboard. What do you think? I'm telling you, it's the coolest and most beautiful board I've ever bought in my life. You'll see it soon on the channel. I hope you love it, okay? Let's see what you think. Let me know in the comments. You know, I don't get a lot of views on YouTube, let's be honest, but I do have a really wonderful community, right? Y'all watch your videos, and that's the most important thing. That we build a community, that you give me lots of likes, comments, and we talk to each other. So let me know what you think of my new board. I'm really excited to show it to you, okay? When it arrives, I'm gonna do my best to record with it as soon as possible so you can see it. I don't know if I'll be able to get a discount from the brand for all of you. I'm gonna try. If I manage to get it, I'll let you know in the video. It's no problem at all. If not, you'll still get to enjoy the board in the videos. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Since we're the best chess community in the world, if you leave me a nice comment, a like, or subscribe, anything helps. And I'll see you in the next video, friends. Goodbye.